so this like the storyline or just like the making of it? Okay. So the story
tell me what it's about. Yeah, what it's
okay.
about.
Okay, Chrissy Meth is basically my addiction story. When I was, as we all have in our lives, there was a time in my life when I found myself with a meth addiction, and it was a terrible, dark, scary time in my life, and I recount some things that happened in my life during my addiction in the story in my solo show titled Chrissy Meth, A Dance with the Devil and the Journey Back to Self. So it's a story, you get a glimpse of how the addiction comes about. You get a glimpse of what it does when it hits, right? And you get a glimpse of what it looks like when I begin to have the realization that, oh, I got an addiction here. And I probably better do something about it, or else I'm about to be in a lot of trouble. And I get in a lot of trouble before I decide to switch gears, and that's part of the whole story. So
So, so with this, it's obviously a very personal story, and with most people, they're drawing on fiction when they write about stuff. This is your story, basically, correct? Um,
yes,
when you're writing about something like that, there obviously has to be some really deep emotional connection to it. So, do you find that the writing of the story was actually therapeutic in any way, or was it just I'm putting this together?
yeah, absolutely. I think, as I was saying before, when I was first in my recovery, I tried to write about it. I actually did it, but I was still kind of like I was still in my addiction. Like I wasn't on drugs, but I was like trying to deal with my meth cocaine addiction with alcohol, right? So it's like I went from a drug addict. It's like these stages, right? It's like you go from a drug addict and you're jonesy and you're going through it, and then I was just like drinking because I had to get, because I had to get the edge off. And so I started drinking. And when I was writing, when I was trying to write it, at the time I was living in San Francisco and I was trying to do stand up. So I kind of made it into like I did a whole stand up about my addiction one time. And a little bit of the Chrissy Meth storyline was in that stand up comedy show that I used to do, but it was horrible. I mean, because I was like a flaming alcohol. I was drunk all the time, and it just didn't work. And I couldn't write it. I think at the time, because I was still in recovery, I was going to counseling, like I was still working through it myself emotionally. I wasn't able to sit down and focus and to write it out. So then when I finally, 12 years later, sat down and wrote it out, it was a beautiful, beautiful, and sometimes dark, cathartic experience. It was wonderful to let it out. And if I could say this to anybody, sit down and write down your thoughts. It was the most powerful thing. It was the next stage of my freedom. I'll say that.
That
It's
makes
the
sense.
yeah. It's like anything that was happening before I wrote Chrissy Math, like if I was getting some, stuff creeping back up, just because a lot of people use drugs to cope with, emotions and stress and stuff like that. So even though I've been clean many, many years, especially living here in LA, if something happens, it's like, you get this like that moment of like, you know, and so all of that went away, like all of the urges and just the thoughts. Like I grounded it. I told my story. I'm proud and happy about my story, and I'm moving on in my life, and I'm living an amazing life, and I'm so happy for it. And it was a beautiful thing. And the other thing too, because my director really guided me with not, it wasn't, because it's not really just about addiction, right? It's about all these other things, right? It's about self worth. It's about self-love. It's about self-care, right? So when you start getting to the bottom of the reason why you may be in an addiction, when you really shoot to the root cause, then you can really grow and fly, because now you're facing your real demon, right? You're
Yep.
facing the real demon. Would it be something that happened in childhood? When I was writing Chrissy Meth, one of the things that came up for me was when I was a little girl, I was severely bullied, you know? So that came up. So
Yep.
then I had to face that and deal with that. And this had nothing to do with drugs. This was decades before I even smoked marijuana, you know? So it's like the story really helped me to focus on, oh, okay, well, how did I get there? Right? Oh, well, I got there because of this. And then before that happened, this happened. And then before that happened, this happened. And then boom, here you go, 30 years old, full blown meth head. Well, it makes sense that I would be a fucking drug addict by sorry, by the
No, that's okay.
time, it makes sense that I would, of course, if you go through all this trauma and abuse, in your 20s and as a late teenager into my 20s, into my adulthood, it makes sense that at some point, if you don't have any coping skills, you're going to hit a wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the process, you said you had a director as well.
Yeah.
For many of us, we're not in LA. For many of us, I will never be in LA. It just ain't gonna happen. I might vacation there or something, but I'm a small town entertainer in the middle of bloody nowhere. What kind of
Hmm.
process do the professionals, like your director, go through when it comes to directing something like this, a semi self-written play that is played by you as well, where you're so close to it? How does a director deal with that to make it into something that is palatable for everybody? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. My director, her name is Jessica Lynn Johnson, and she actually has a group called the Soaring Solos. And in this group, it's multi-layered. One layer of it, she has like a free writing class that anybody could come to, like on Saturdays. That's kind of how I started. And you just kind of write, and she walks you through writing scenarios, and it's very therapeutic. And then after I did the Saturday for free, then I started going and having like group and one-on-one coaching with her. And Jessica, she's a very unique individual because the year that we did the Fringe, she had like something like 19 shows she had directed in the Fringe.
Holy
So this
cow.
girl, yeah, amazing woman, amazing, phenomenal, strong, intelligent, just hats off to her. She dealt with 19 crazy people dealing with their life stories. And I think that you I was able to do it probably because of her, because she was so patient and giving and loving, and she kept me on track. She kept me on schedule, because every week I had to write a certain amount, right? And so the structure of it all, which is difficult for artists, right? For us to stay all okay, color within the lines. Who wants to do that? So she got me to color within the lines for once, and so yeah, it takes a very grounded, and shall I say spiritually grounded person to be able to guide you through such an emotional time. I remember we were in rehearsal one day. It was a one-on-one. It was just me and her in her apartment, and she was guiding. We were getting towards the end of the show when I go into recovery, and I do this very powerful monologue of the realization that I had to make a change in my life, right? And it was just so real, right? I'm saying the words and I'm writing it down, but this is real. And I just lose it. I just start crying. I fall down. I just slump down on the chair, and she comes to me and she stoops down and she's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "It's just so much. It's so much." And she goes, "Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot."
So with your journey that you've had already, obviously you've been part of the LA Fringe Festival, where do you want this to go? Do you want it to stay fringe theater stuff, or do you want this to turn into a movie of some kind? Where do you want this to go?
Yeah. Okay. So right now, I'm on my way. Well, when COVID started, the artistic director of the Whitefire Theater, he just jumped right in and he created the Stream Fest. So I'm so excited. I'm a part of the Stream Fest this year. So after the Stream Fest, there's two things going on. I think I have aspirations, which is a long shot. I have aspirations to turn Chrissy Meth into a musical.
Nice.
and I would like to shoot for Broadway or a New York off Broadway theater. That's my big dream. And then in the middle, in between getting to that big dream, my goal is to make because originally when I first wrote Chrissy Meth, like before I met Jessica and turned into a solo show, I was trying to make it into a movie originally anyway.
Okay.
So I'm gonna turn this year, hopefully by the end of this year, I'm turning maybe 10 to 15 minutes of it into just a short. I would like to enter into HBO. Always has like this short competition. Yeah, I want to enter into the short competition at some point. Not sure if I'll be able to do it this year. Whatever, we'll see. And then ultimately, I would love to make it into a TV series where we take it away from me, take it off of me, and just turn it into this thing of the story of the ensemble players. Because at some point I just got to give it away. It's not necessarily my story anymore. So I'm
Yeah.
ready to kind of like give it away and let it be from a different perspective. Because I've lived in a clean and sober house for 3 years. So
Mm-hmm.
I would love to retell the story of the recovery process.
Yeah.
But not necessarily from my perspective, maybe just some other ensemble players in the story. So yeah. So Broadway and a TV series. Hey,
That's a heck of a thing to shoot for. Eventually, I want this show to get big. We'll see. You're helping me. So I do have a couple questions before we end. We're at 13 minutes currently. I forgot to ask you the question of the week. Did you know that? Did you watch some of the videos? So the question of the week is: if you could only have one sandwich for the rest of your life, what sandwich would it be?
uh, a, a, a grilled avocado with lettuce and tomatoes and vegan mayonnaise.
Gross. But sure. But sure. Yep. You're in LA. That's for sure. Grilled avocado? What the hell?
It's like an avocado toast, like an avocado, here it is.
Oh.
It's like an avocado BLT without the B. How about that?
Are you vegetarian or vegan or what's going
I
on?
am I am vegetarian.
Oh, you're a horrible person. Okay. Just kidding.
Exactly. You know, when I first moved, I'm originally from Chicago,
Okay.
and I moved to California a very long time ago. Won't even talk about it. But anyway, when I was on my way to California, I had an uncle, right? I shouldn't even claim this person in my family, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But I had an uncle, and on my way to California, I remember he goes, California is like a box of granola, You got your flakes, your fruit, and your nuts.
That's fair. That's fair. Holy cow. Oh.
So and when I came here, I didn't find that so much in Northern California. I came from Sacramento. I went from Chicago to Sacramento to the Bay Area down to LA, and definitely LA is a box of granola, no doubt.
The truth is, we're all different everywhere we go, no matter who we are, right? We just got to realize that we're people, I think.
LA is definitely an experience, but it's wonderful. I love being here, and I love all my crazy artsy friends. And at the same time, it's a whole bunch of beautiful amazing, talented. The talent that is here is staggering. The level of talent that's here, and you're surrounded by it, and that part is so beautiful and enchanting, and I love it. I love it.
You know, where I'm at, there's not a huge arts community. Well, there is, but they almost fight each other, if that makes sense, which is insane. We should be supporting each other. But with when artists get together, I can't talk today apparently. The creativity is just insane, and of course you're going to have some of those people that are absolutely nuts. Right? So before we end off, we're at 16 minutes. I just want to say thank you for being on. Where can people watch your show on the stream? It's coming on Stream Fringe, correct?
Yes. So no, my show it's called the Stream Fest.
Okay.
And yes, and you can get access to it at whitefiretheater.com. whitefiretheater.com. That my show, Chrissy Meth, will be live streamed on Saturday, August 25th at 7 p.m. Pacific. So that's going to be different times in different places, but 7 p.m. Pacific. I believe that's 9 p.m. Central and maybe 11 p.m. New York time, I do believe. So
who knows?
Yeah. 7 p.m. Pacific. And I would love for everyone here on Jesse's show to come check me out. I watched one of my fellow artists shows a couple of nights ago. It was an experience to watch. It's an experience. You're at home and you're watching this person tell their story, and it was beautiful. I liked it. I like being home. I like being able to do whatever I want to do. Nobody can see me. I can get up whenever I want to, So it was interesting. The show was amazing, but it was definitely me. I'm a theater person, so it was interesting being home watching it. It was great.
It's a really strange experience to go from what we were used to watching everything through a screen, right? Sure, we had television, but it wasn't everybody broadcasting live. Now it seems like absolutely everyone, all the creatives are trying to do these shows online. And for me, I can't do my normal show. It's impossible unless I have 10 people with me to do a hypnosis show. I'm not going to hypnotize people over Zoom. That's what I really do. So this is the best alternative for me, is talking to people that are able to do their stuff. Before we end off, I always ask one simple question, and that's what one thing have you done today, other than this interview? What's that one thing you've done today to make yourself happy? Not anybody else, just you.
I got up and I got dressed to walk downstairs. I think self-care is really important. It would have been easy to just kind of sit upstairs in my pajamas and talk to you on my computer. But I think getting up and getting dressed and just starting my day off, I felt good about that, even though I was a little irritated because I was sleepy. But I got up anyway, and I took care of myself and, went to my meeting, and I'm just happy about that. I'm very happy about that.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being on. Everybody who's watching, there's either a link up there or a link down there. I have no idea where it goes. It's around, but go look up Chrissy Meth and watch the show on.
You can follow me on Facebook at Crystal Bush, the actress. That's my fan page, or Crystal Bush. Shoot me if you send me an email, send me a private message through Facebook, and I'll give you a discount code to see the show for a discount.
Ooh.
There you go. That's how we'll do that. That's how we'll do that. So you have to say, I saw you on Jesse Lewis's show, and I'll go, you get the discount.
That works. So we're actually 10 minutes earlier than this interview was even supposed to go out. That's amazing. I love being able to do this. Anyway, everybody, I want to thank you for watching. And Crystal, sorry, we end the show in one way, and that's by doing this. So feel free to say bye.
Bye.